I've always looked at gambling as just another form of entertainment. It's dollars that you would have earmarked, perhaps going to the movies, taking a girl out for a date, going out for drinks, going out dancing. You're going to blow a couple $100, or you can put it on a game and perhaps double your earnings. Or you could, of course, lose the same amount of money and not get any of the benefits from the girl, but you could perhaps have just as good of a time. And I certainly had an entertaining game for you last night. Listen, as I laid out here in the video report, as I laid out on the website yesterday, going into my pick last night on that Navy-South Florida game, I had won 7 straight days. I had won 7 consecutive top-rated 15-dime best bet selections. So, as I've said over the years doing this, listen, when you're on a roll, you've got to step to the plate. And after you get on that red-hot roll, you've got to reinvest those profits and you've got to press the action. So I upped the ante to a 20-dime release. It's a rare play for me. But as I clearly said here in the video report, and as I clearly laid out on the website, guys, this was not a play that you were supposed to mortgage your kids' tuitions on. This was not a play that you were supposed to take the Christmas funds away and bet on this game. This was not a play that you were supposed to take food money and instead bet on this game. No, if you were along with me for the previous 7 days, well, guys, you were just like me and you were playing with your man's money. And if you were not with me for the previous 7 days, well, you were jumping on the bandwagon because, hell, I had won 7 straight days and you wanted to hop on for the latest bandwagon run. Well, what did we have last night? We had a play which I had absolutely no reason to even consider being in the fourth quarter because Navy was clearly outplayed. Listen, I made a huge mistake because Navy did not have the speed and athleticism to keep up with that South Florida team. And consequently, you saw Navy had their asses kicked in the first 3 quarters of that game. But then we had that miracle comeback starting in the fourth quarter. And then you saw how the game ended. So let's talk about the point spread. Let's talk about how that game ended. So first of all, we see what happened in the point spread. When I released that game at 7 a.m. Eastern time yesterday, I had Navy at 6.5 points. And naturally, what have I always told you? When that line crosses 3, 4, 7, and sometimes 10, you are always buying that half point, either up or down, depending on whether you're on the underdog or the favorite. Well, I had Navy at 6.5, and I clearly told you, buy up the half point. Because buying that half point, and I don't care what some of you jackasses out there think about that strategy, it has been the single biggest thing that has made me more money and saved me more money in 20 years of gambling. So I don't care if you disagree with me. I know what it does for me. Now, if you're playing 17 games every single Saturday, it's a stupid strategy for you. But if you're playing one game, you tell me, how beneficial was it for me again yesterday to pay an extra 15 cents instead of worrying about $1.10, worrying about $1.25 as if I didn't bet $1.25 favorite in baseball, 40 times during this summer and have Navy last night at +7. Yeah. Now, here's the deal. By 3:30 Eastern time yesterday, of course, that line started to move. And by 4 o'clock, that line dropped to 6. So what happens? You saw the game. Navy scores as time expires. And you're sitting there going, oh, my God, I'm going to get the ultimate backdoor cover. Because I'm sitting there going, already knowing the rules, this is no good. Navy had to score with 1 second left on the clock. Navy scored as time expired, and the rule dictates in college football that the extra point is not mandatory and not needed unless it's going to be a decisive point in the outcome of the game. So that touchdown meant nothing in the outcome of the game. To us, it did from a gambling perspective. To the integrity of the game from a gambling perspective, it did. But to the outcome of the game, it meant absolutely nothing. So that's why that game did not have a point after a try. That's why the final score landed right there on the 7. So I pushed, for those of you that came on board at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all the way up until 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock kickoff and heeded my strategy and bought the half point we pushed. And anybody after the case that came in afterwards, you lost. So I take a loss on the website, because there is no honor in claiming a win, and it's one of those games. So the moral of this story, again, buying the half point is, again, something that has turned more losses into pushes and more pushes into wins for that extra 15 to 20 cents on individual games. It has been more beneficial than anything else I can possibly tell you. And yet I realize it's like telling a Trump supporter to vote for Hillary or vice versa. What can I tell you? Now, as for me, okay, I'm going to take a loss. Personally, in my bank account, I took a win. I'm going to take a loss for the site. I've still won 7 of the last 8 days. I can live with that. But again, guys, listen. I didn't tell you to sell your soul yesterday, and I think that's important because a lot of guys in this business, when they're on a winning streak, my God, they will tell you to sell your soul, your next children, your next born child. They'll tell you to mortgage your future. That's not what it is. This is about fun. This is about entertainment. This is about making some money. And again, if you're on a winning streak and if you win 7 straight days like I just did and you don't press the action, well, that's just lunacy. Because the way you take those bankrolls and you build them up and then you make them explode is by pressing the action and taking shots. End of story. Hey, let's talk about some of the other guys here at the sites. Listen, Trace Adams, you might want to check it out today because he has his second 2,500 star play of the season going today. He had 2 of them last year, one in the NFL, one in college football, hit them both. Hit one a couple of weeks ago. Which you got for half price, and he has a second one going today. And if I can remember, it's his one and only blowout of the year. It goes on the mid-afternoon card. I get so choked up talking about Trace. One is on the one and only 2,500 star dog of the year 2 Saturdays ago with Oregon State covering against Utah. Again, this is bigger than his 5th straight Thursday night 1,500 star winner when he captured a cover with Pitt plus the 3.5 against Virginia Tech the other night. He is on a 45 and 25 roll with double your wager plays, and this one is bigger. And remember, $1 bettors have won a little over $79,000 following his advice over the past 12 and a half months in all sports. And that one, the coupon code is Blowout. All the other coupon codes and discounts are over on the homepage. Let's get to your complimentary plays. First of all, I'm going to go with Temple because when I give them as a free play, as I win. When I go with my alma mater as a premium play, I lose. Hey, don't have to beat me over the head twice to teach me that lesson. I'm going to go with the Owls today at home. They're coming off a 46-30 win at home last Friday night against South Florida. It's a 6.5-point underdog using their ground game to great effect as they ran for 319 yards. They've won 4 of their last 5 straight up. They've covered 7 straight games. Bearcats are coming off a 31-19 win at home against East Carolina. Big deal. I think the Pirates have lost 6 of their last 7 games. Before that, they had lost at UConn 20-9 and had lost at home to that same South Florida team 45-20. So I'll go with Temple minus the 7 in that particular game. I'm going to go with NC State minus 15 at home against Boston College. Last Saturday, I told you to go against NC State because I thought it was a typical letdown situation. Wolfpack the week prior had... Excuse me, guys. I'm still not over pneumonia from 3 months ago. Last week, the Wolfpack were still not over having a victory within their grasp at Clemson in Death Valley and then blowing it in regulation and losing in overtime. They were in a classic college football, college basketball letdown situation, and you saw what happened. They got destroyed by Louisville, 54-13. I told you to go with the Cardinals last week. Well, now the Wolfpack at home. I think this is a great spot to jump on them. Listen, the Eagles are coming off a 28-20 loss at home to Syracuse. What does that tell you? And the Eagles were coming off a bye, so it wasn't like they were surprised by the Orange. And the week prior, BC was destroyed by Clemson, 56-10. Their last road game, September 17th. Last road game, September 17th. They were at Virginia Tech. They lost that game 49-0. Home team this series has covered 9 of the last 11, and the Wolfpack is on a 10-3 ATS run as a favorite. Final play, Washington State minus the 13.5 at Oregon State. Oregon State, I don't know. One of you guys or me, we could be playing quarterback for the Beavers today. They've had so many injuries at that position. Cougars are off a 37-32 win at Arizona State. No love loss, as you know, between Todd Graham of the Sun Devils and Mike Leach of the Cougars in that one. That was their 5th straight win. They won today. They become bowl eligible for a 2nd straight season. My God, that hasn't happened in back-to-back years since the early 2000s. Beavers off a 41-17 loss at Washington, falling to 2-5 on the season. Do not be fooled by the final score there, because that was 31-0 at halftime before the Huskies caught off the Dogs. Luke Falk for Washington State, 398 yards against the Sun Devils. Last two games against Oregon State, 878 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. Washington State on a 14-4 ATS roll against Division I schools, 15-5 ATS roll on the road, and the road team has covered 8 of the last 10 meetings in the series. So those are your 3 free selections: Temple, Washington State, and NC State. I wish you well. Talk to you again on Sunday when we do this one more time.